Hey guys, you are tuned in to the Jersey Comic Crew. We are talking Marvel's Empyre event right now, all issues 1 through 6. Make sure you read it and come here for a review. Starting now.
Hey guys, we're the Jersey Comic Crew, bringing the news and reviews of any favorite comics, movies, and TV shows. As always, I'm Rob Moran, and with me is the great and wise Chris Heller.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are here to talk Empyre.
Just for the record, the only reason you're great and wise is because you finished this event before me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I read a lot.
Listen,
a lot of
it's
comics.
hard for me to read words, okay?
Especially with pictures behind them.
Well, yeah, thankfully there's pictures, so I figured out what happened, and you told me what the words said.
Oh man, if this was a book club, this would be a totally different type of show.
I could read actual books, man. It's just all for the show. I know how to read.
It would be one book per year. It would take so long. But yeah, we're talking Empyre. Marvel's Empyre event just finished last week, and was kind of hit with the delay bug like every other comic book in the industry for a while due to COVID-19. Mm-hmm. But the good part about the end result is that it came out almost weekly. So this event kind of felt like it was moving. It was kind of like every week was a new main issue.
And I'm almost glad that there was this delay bug with this book because I think, for the record, before we even get into it, I think we're both agreeing it's like an average level event. It's nothing too crazy, it's nothing too good, nothing real big story driven. It's just like, oh, it's a crossover event. And sometimes that's fine, but like this being week to week, I think was fine. I think if there was a lag between books, it might have hurt it.
Yeah.
This also kind of felt like this event could have been within the Avengers comic itself, but because the Fantastic Four were in it, I could see them justifying it being an event. So I'm not too upset with this book, but I'm kind of glad that we didn't have the time lag between them.
Yeah, no, me too. And I get it, right? Like it's kind of this intergalactic story, and if you're not going to put the Guardians in it or the Inhumans, and they're doing, they're starting their own Eternals book, obviously, because the movie's going to come out soon. But yeah, Marvel kind of took the reins of the Fantastic Four, continued to explore space, and they had them go back to the original planet they were trying to get to in their origin story, which was pretty cool. And they end up finding these two kids that are, one's a Kree and one's a Skrull. And they're basically in their own world of like, hey, they're just made to basically fight each other.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of talking about child trafficking. It was a little bit of connection to the Collector because his sister was running the operation.
Well, yeah, this is all before the event even starts, right? This is like in the zero issue kind of setting the stage for this event.
Yeah, exactly. And this kind of leads the Fantastic Four to bring these kids back. And back to Earth, and they realize, hey, there's this huge like Skrull ship, and the Hulkling is in there, and it's Kree and Skrull, and they're like, when did the war end? And they had no idea.
So,
and on the
real quick, just to give people in, obviously the Kree and the Skrulls, you might be familiar with them if you're not reading comics. If you watched movies, the Skrulls are those shape-shifting green people from Captain Marvel.
Yes.
And then the Kree are, think of like they turn out to be the villains in Captain Marvel, right? The blue people. Captain Marvel is part Kree. We find that out, right? So for years and throughout the history of Marvel Comics, these two warrior races have been going at it the whole time. And now one of the big appeals of this event is that they have formed an alliance. They're working together to fight a common enemy. And Chris mentioned that the Hulkling is, kind of like their new king. And the Hulkling is the child of Hulk and a Skrull. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes and no. He's both Kree and Skrull.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. My apologies.
Yeah. His name is Hulkling because he kind of like is huge and gives off that Hulk-like appearance. But he is kind of like the natural chosen one to kind of bridge that gap between the Kree and Skrull to create peace.
So he has nothing to do with the Hulk? I am completely wrong. I thought he was like a child of the Hulk, really. Like some of his other kids. Okay. So he's just really. The two Kree, like he's the embodiment of the 2 in 1.
Yeah, he's a massive warrior that embodies both, and he could, he could shapeshift. He could, he's extremely strong and powerful.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, he's not really Hulk related. Weird name choice, but sure. Yeah. But yeah, on the other side of the Avengers, they're kind of like, hey, there's something going on the moon. Like that's kind of how this starts.
Let me ask you a
And
question before
yeah,
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but
no, it's cool. It's fine.
this Avengers team, it's not your typical team. It's Captain America, it's Iron Man, it's Captain Marvel, Black Panther is the leader. We
Yeah.
have She-Hulk, Thor, and then Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, the one with the car, right?
Yes, the
So,
one with the hell charger.
So it's a little bit of a different team, something we haven't really seen very often, if at all, combo going into space.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like this team up? Do you like these group of characters working together? I like them. I think it's cool and refreshing.
I like a lot of them. I'm not big on Ghost Rider. Um,
See,
and they added Blade as well recently.
they did,
So
but he's not on this mission.
No, he's there.
Was he?
Yeah, he's there. He just doesn't have a big part. He's just kind of chopping up Cotati.
See, I agree with you. Like Ghost Rider, I like Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider, but he kind of does feel out of place here. But it's also,
yeah. But that's on purpose, right?
Yeah, it's on purpose. Like he's the point of view character into the Avengers, right? Like you're kind of like him in this crazy world. Like all of them are so used to it, and even for like new readers who don't know the history of comics, you could kind of pick up these kind of books and really relate to Robbie Reyes because he's going through the same thing you're going through. Like, oh, this is all crazy. Yeah. I haven't been here before. What do I do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he's, like, again, he's okay. I think everyone, whether you read comics or don't, knows the Avengers enough that, like, we don't always need, like, an intro point into them.
I get it.
I love She-Hulk, though. I love, like, she has a relationship with Thor right now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is very funny and cool. I love that they're using Black Panther as, like, the head of kind of the team, basically, because he is a king of an actual country and he's already in politics and he already deals with all this other stuff behind the scenes. So
he's also the most mentally stable out of all of them, right?
That too, yeah.
Right? It's just
absolutely.
Like when you look back at like why has he not been the leader for longer? It just astounds me. Like, oh, Captain America, he's not with the times. He doesn't really get everything. Tony Stark's an alcoholic. Okay, who else do we have?
Ex-alcoholic.
Yeah. Oh, Black Panther. He runs a country, the world's best country. Oh, he understands diplomacy. We should have done this years ago, right?
Yeah, right. Thor's a god of another world.
Exactly. All right. So moving on, they see the stress signal on the moon, right? And they go up.
Yeah, and it seems like this race called the Cotati, who were persecuted against by the Kree and Skrull eons ago. Yeah. They're plant-based life forms. Mm-hmm. They're basically like tree people and plant people.
Which is
they're on the moon, and they're kind of like, we need to fend off. Like, we're just trying to survive. And the Avengers are like, so we'll help you, obviously. We obviously learn very quick that the Cotati are lying.
Yeah.
They not only want to kill the Kree and Skrulls as revenge, but they also want to take over Earth and the rest of the galaxy and spread more of their plant-based things across the world, which quickly becomes carnivores versus vegans.
Yes.
Which is a very funny concept in my head.
I love it. One of the cool things, though, with these, the Cotati, the plant people, so one of the major figureheads for them was actually an old Avenger.
Yes.
So an old Avenger called Swordsmaster, right? If I'm not mistaken. Swordsman.
The Swordsman.
He kind of helped train a lot of the Avengers in fighting. He was the one who trained Hawkeye how to use weapons, and especially with his bow. Mm-hmm. And he died, and he was kind of reborn into this Cotati with these plant life forms.
Yeah.
He has a son with another familiar character, Mantis. Mantis, you may know from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So Mantis and the Swordsman, as this new plant Cotati person, have this kid, and now this kid is kind of like the one that's the Messiah, their god that's going to take over the whole universe with plants. Kind of like the ultimate version of Poison Ivy, if you will.
Yeah, basically. Like if Swamp Thing was on steroids.
Yes, there you go. That might be a better one.
But yeah, it's an interesting concept. It's one that I felt didn't hit home as hard as other events. I did like certain aspects of, team ups and fighting. I actually found more likability in some of the tie-in stories than the main story.
Yeah, so I didn't read a lot of the tie-ins, and I know you did. Yeah. So what were some of the cool highlights from the tie-ins that you did read? Because for me, for the main book, like, after you got the initial introduction, it kind of, like you said, fell flat. And we're going to get some of those highlights in just a minute or two. But I didn't read any tie-ins for this. And I know you said Avengers and the X-Men were like the biggest ones. So why is that?
Yeah, the Avengers X-Men were good, and I read Fantastic Four regularly, so that was technically a tie-in. But to me, the X-Men was the best one, and that one had to deal with like real stuff in their world too, mixed with what's going on. It wasn't just like a tie-in for no reason. Like Hickman was actually writing some of the tie-in stuff.
Oh wow, okay.
And so that dealt with the Scarlet Witch going back to the island where she did the No More Mutants House of M stuff.
Oh, okay.
And we find out that she's still like reeling with it, like it's every day, almost like a PTSD view of it.
Okay.
And or like a survivor's guilt of it. And she figures out this spell to kind of makeshift revive everyone she accidentally killed.
Wait, stop.
Yes.
So this event.
Yes.
Forget the main book. You're telling me the main book
this
is now
4
garbage.
issues of side. Yes, this is what happened.
Dude, listen, guys, in the main issue, nothing happens. All right, let me tell you that right now. So go back to the side. Why did I not read this? So you're telling me in this side issue.
You're like an Austin Powers when he's trying to get what's-her-face to like come with him. I looked into the 80s. There was a flock of seagulls and a gas shortage. That's about all.
Forget that. So Scarlet Witch, who obviously has PTSD from killing, almost putting mutants on extinction.
Millions.
She brings them back?
She brings them back as zombies.
Oh.
She brings them back as like kind of like these half-minded zombies.
Oh my god.
That because the spell doesn't work perfectly.
It never does.
Never does. So the X-Men, like a lot of the X-Men come in like Magic, Angel, Beast is trying to figure some stuff out in the background to kind of slow that down, but then they have to use them to stop the Cotati from kind of growing this base there. So
right, and Krakoa, which is like 90% plant-based.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then they have Horde Culture come in. So if you don't know who Horde Culture is, it's this group of like old ladies that are just badass and hilarious.
Like these 90-year-old old ladies who are like, well, like organic terrorists, I think was the term they used.
Something like that, yeah. And they let this pheromone out that makes them look young and smoking hot. Oh. So like Angel's like, I'll do anything for you. And they're like, yeah, that's right. Because they hit him with this pheromone.
That's awesome.
And they hit Nightcrawler with it too. It was really funny. But yeah, it's kind of like they're using, like they end up having to kind of use these undead zombies who are like, why are we back? And what's happening to fight off the Cotati? And basically, Wanda's not even there because she's struggling so much with this. She actually goes to Doctor Strange and is like, this is what I did.
Okay.
And he's very much like, well, you're an idiot because you can't bring people back to life. So she has to go with Strange into the dimensions. And
oh my god!
They have to get this ingredient that so Strange can kind of try and reverse it.
So by reverse it, like kill them again or like make them whole again?
No, like put them to rest completely. He's like, crazy. You are not going to be able to bring them back. This is not how this works.
Why was this not part of the main book? Oh my god!
Because it's better. so basically. It's happening at the same time. So she's with Strange in the multiverse trying to figure stuff out while everyone's fighting the Cotati. Okay. So Strange brings her back and, they use this spell and and she's like, well, nothing happened. He's like, well, it's not perfect. It's going to take 30 days for it to actually take effect for everybody.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of like the countdown that's happening while they're fighting off the Cotati. So they have to beat the Cotati in this area before the 30 days runs out and they lose all these like zombie people.
Okay.
Floaty Boy is one of them who just blows up. Very funny.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it actually, and the very last scene, which I think is going to play very well into Ten of Swords, as well as, maybe hints into WandaVision, the TV show, or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness movie, is, Strange basically helps her close this out.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't take the effects away from Wanda. Like the last scene, the last page, spoiler alert, is Wanda kind of like in her study by herself, just like crying because she just can't get over it.
Oh, man. I gotta read this. This is awesome.
And Strange has an amazing line, which I think is kind of a foreshadowing of the TV show and the movie stuff. of like, it's not about the red on your ledger or what you've done. You can't erase it. You just have to keep doing good things to kind of outweigh it.
Wow.
So, but Wanda can't get over it. So that's going to play really big later on.
Oh, definitely.
So that tie-in to me was the best tie-in out of any of them.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the main story.
Let me take over a little bit about the main story.
Go for it, please. I'm tired.
So, during this whole time, eventually they get to Earth. They're like you said, the Cotati are attacking different places of the Earth. We see our own Avengers are trying to fight it off. The biggest battle is in Wakanda. So Wakanda has, Black Panther thing, and some of the other Avengers are fighting off the forces. Meanwhile, we have two different groups doing two different things. We have Reed and Tony are trying to figure out a scientific solution to stop the Cotati, to try to figure this out and try to, make the world happy.
Build suits, Reed. That's what I do. I build suits.
Exactly, which I think we're both in agreement. The two brilliant people idea in the room together trying to figure out a solution, I thought would have had a more satisfying result, right?
Agreed.
So ultimately, the two of them are tasked to do two different things because the two world-ending events are about to happen. One, the Cotati are about to build like this seed on one of the most treasured soil in Wakanda that'll make this guy strong as a god, and he could create and touch all plant life in all the known universe.
It's on top of the the vibranium mound.
Yes, the vibranium mound. Thank you. The other one was the sun is about to explode because Hulkling and the Kree Skrull Alliance planted a bomb there that's just going to destroy Earth and destroy them all with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Reed essentially gets a suit built by Iron Man to kind of help the Wakanda side to end it. And Tony was supposed to help with the sun, but he doesn't because somebody else already does the job for him. We see Wicked teleports Captain Marvel, and the Fantastic Four to kind of stop the bomb from going up, and
Johnny Storm,
and Tony Stark's kind of talking to them through communication devices to try to tell them how to do it. And then afterwards, both events are done. They stopped it. It felt really flat. The cool thing that I did with this, was kind of the Kree Skrull side of the story. So on the ship, we see, Captain Marvel and Johnny Storm were left there with Hulkling to make sure everything gets okay because obviously they're not really sure how this alliance is going to work out. Captain Marvel gets a huge power boost, guys. Even she wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, right, for real. They didn't have a power issue with her anyway.
So she has powers from the Kree, right? And then she pretty much becomes like Ronan the Accuser from Guardians. She picks up the hammer and becomes the Accuser. So she gets a double power boost.
Yeah.
And she does next to nothing with it. As much as
Absolutely.
I like that she had the power boost, I would have rather her go down to Earth and see her use that to fight. If you're going to give somebody this power boost, right? And not use it, it's a little upsetting. She used it when there was ultimately an outbreak on the ship. We find out Hulkling wasn't real Hulkling. Wiccan, his husband, came in, who's the son of Scarlet Witch and Vision. He comes in and says, "That's not my husband. He was captured. That's a Skrull." Figured out that was Hulkling's grandmother trying to manipulate everything behind the scenes. There's a whole ship fight, and then she uses the hammer a couple times to beat some people, and that's it. I wanted
her to. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
good. I wanted the essence of Thor coming down to Earth in Infinity War with Stormbreaker.
Yes, with
Captain Marvel, right? I wanted the Infinity War Thor coming down with Rocket and Groot in Infinity War, but with Captain Marvel and the Accuser hammer coming down to Earth and being and the Cotati are oh,
right,
we're in trouble, and even put it, it's comics, right? It's not even a movie. Throw her in binary mode, have her head on fire and her eyes glowing, and then have her use the hammer and just wipe out an entire battalion.
We do kind of get that
was
moment,
never there
with Thor, though, right? Thor comes down with the power of Gaia and says Gaia's nobody's supposed to abuse this. Yeah, nobody's supposed to abuse this power. I'm stopping it. Okay, that you just came out of nowhere and did that. That it was weird. It felt to me like this.
That was weird.
It felt to me this whole event was a setup event, and that happens a lot in comics. Like, I feel like the main purpose of this was to have Hulkling in charge of the Kree Skrull Alliance, and him actually realize that he has to be put in work to become a king. Captain Marvel is now souped up and powerful. No, they didn't. Like at the end when his husband came, and he's like, "Oh, I thought I was just gonna be a figurehead, but now I realize I have to lead." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, that kind of was the whole point.
And now
it was kind of like, oh, what's his name? Again, in Infinity War, yes, that's what breaks you, kills you means.
Exactly. And then Captain Marvel has a power up, right? Mm-hmm. I guess Thor is a little bit stronger because he can communicate with the Earth and plants now. Like, I feel like this event, there's no outcome, right? It was just like, oh, plant war against the people. We stopped the plants. Attacking. And now Captain Marvel's stronger. Thor can talk to Gaia. They did nothing with any of the other Avengers. The Fantastic Four are, like, still the same.
Well, yes and no. Like the Fantastic Four, they have the two kids, right? Like the young Kree and young Skrull kid who they brought them back, and they had to protect New York because they like this kind of like almost like the Hand cult, like a deviation from them came after those kids.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Wolverine and Spider-Man actually came in, and they like Reed left them all suits, so it was like makeshift Fantastic Four with Franklin, Valeria, Spider-Man, Wolverine.
That's a strong four.
Which was awesome. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And yeah, but it seemed like everything that tied in was better than the main event. And I don't know if that's because it was Dan Slott and Al Ewing writing it, so you have two writers
pulling in different directions,
writing their own perspective. I mean, sometimes that works out well. I'm more of a fan of like a single writer for stories. And Marvel does this a lot with events. I mean, let's not just beat around the bush here.
True.
Marvel does this a lot with events. Marvel puts out a ton of events. That's one thing DC Comics, in my opinion, does better. They hold off a lot more on just event after event after event.
Marvel also has the issue that they start their events really well. Like the start of this event was great. Like Tony beating himself up because he believed in them. And then like the fallout was kind of there with him and Reed, but it just didn't punch home. And usually when I read Marvel events, I read all the side stories. So I usually get a fuller picture. And this time I didn't. And like I'm not
You're going to read that X-Men one though.
I'm probably going to read back and read all of them because I don't know if it's the whole event that suffered or if it's just me just reading the main story. Because like
and you're the opposite. I'm someone who's like I don't like a lot of tie-ins.
Yeah.
Right? Like tell me my story and just tell it to me. Stop trying to get me to buy this and this and this. So that's why the only two I bought was Avengers and X-Men because I'm like, all right, these are the big team ones, and I get Fantastic Four anyway, and that's the regular book, that tie-in. So, like, I'm not buying the Captain America tie-in. I'm not buying all these other tie-ins. So, yeah, like, the tie-in thing is especially right now, right? Like, I get it. It was already planned out. It was already an event. The tie-in's already planned. But I think it's something Marvel and DC have to look at as far as, all right, how many tie-ins are going to make people buy in a weird economic crisis?
I get that,
but also be able to tell your story. So I don't know. I liked the tie-in. This is a case where I like the tie-in better personally.
Like with this, I'm fine with the event because it showed me more information on the Kree Skrull alliance and race, and I think them working together and being one entity moving forward. I think that's going to be pretty cool. But like we said, like. Whether it's comics, movies, TV show, anime, there's always the setup before the spike down. And I feel like the next event, which is Powers of Swords of 10, right?
10 of Swords.
10 of Swords. They keep doing the name Powers of Swords, 10 of Swords. Right? That event, I think, is going to be the big spike down. I think that event's going to blow our socks off. And this kind of like wet our teeth and taste buds because we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know. It just this event wasn't for me. That's a big event too. Yeah, that's a big event too. Like I said, was it for me? Unfortunately, guys, I think you listening to this review is enough that you got out of the event. I don't think you even need to buy the books. And I'm usually somebody that says buy all the event books, all this kind of stuff, even if you don't read the ongoing stories of like the X-Men. If you buy all the event books in Marvel, you kind of understand what's going on in the universe. You can skip this one. I think it's skippable.
I do too, and it's it's an odd situation, right? Like they were trying, like it seems like Marvel was trying to, be very inclusive, right? You throw in a couple gay characters as main characters in this Marvel event, but it's almost like they put them in there without doing anything with them, which
Wicked
a lot of
should have been there from the. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that bothers me because I understand like having it, but like Wiccan and his connection with Hulkling and Wiccan also the Young Avengers, the West Side Avengers. I know they're trying to build that up because that's going to be coming in TV world soon. Like Wiccan should have been here so much earlier than the last two issues.
Agreed.
He should have been probably issue number 1 right there. Like
once they realized it was Hulkling, they should have been like, who should we get knowledge from?
Oh,
Wicked.
And he's an Avenger. Like they know him. They should have just been like, hey, Hulkling's here. I think you should come to kind of help us make sure he's okay. Yeah,
like that was. I felt like, and this is the issue with them not doing anything with them, right? Like it falls into the okay, is this a pandering situation for this event because you have this opportunity to take these gay characters and like actually do something with them, right? Like a lot of people don't know who Hulkling is, regardless of his orientation.
True, like me, like I'm somebody who reads it a lot, and I don't have a strong knowledge on him.
Yeah, like even Wiccan, right? Like it's like all right, if you know he's Scarlet Witch and Vision's kid, that's usually as far as you know, unless you're reading West Coast Avengers or Young Avengers, and Hulkling is even less so. So unless you're kind of like, and they built the characters up well at the beginning, right? That origin story with the Hulkling and all that stuff like that was great. But like the guy didn't swing a fist in the entire thing. He didn't no, or Hulkling, right? Like Hulkling.
Well, towards the end when they kind of like fought like on the
He didn't even use his own sword. Like Black Panther was using it. And it's like, all right, I'm done. I'll teleport it back to him. Like I just felt like they missed a huge opportunity with, all right, like you're going in the right direction of inclusion, right? But if you're not going to do anything, it's going to fall into the pandering category automatically.
So again,
and now they're doing the epilogue with kind of like, I guess their overall wedding with Wiccan and Hulkling. But like at this point, with the event being kind of stale, is anyone going to care? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to hit home the way it would if you like had them do stuff?
It felt like they did the flashback of the wedding, right? And it felt like they did the wedding last minute, right before he became king. Why was that not a tie-in issue? They should have just made that a side tie-in issue.
I think that is. I think it's the epilogue / flashback or whatever the case is.
No, but I'm saying instead of introducing that in the main story, take those pages for something else. Like
I don't think they want to, because I think they want you to buy the $5, wedding anniversary collector's edition issue.
Here's my other issue. Like the fact that we had the Krees and Skrull united together and we didn't see them fight on Earth. Why?
We did a little.
I mean,
they started fighting each other again, which is kind of normal for when new alliances happen to decades old of fighting, ages old of fighting. But it wasn't. I don't know. It's almost like it was hard. It's obviously hard to cram all that stuff into six issues, but at the same time, it's weird. It's a weird feeling, right? It's hard to cram into 6 issues, but it's also hard to be like, we kind of missed out a lot on 6 issues, or there was almost too much in the 6 issues.
I really feel like the fact that we had Johnny Storm on the ship made no sense.
Well, I mean, the point of him was to go like suck radiation out of the sun and go supernova.
Yeah, that's for the end, right? That's for the end.
Which
that's
even the end didn't make sense to me, because you had Captain Marvel and they're like, how much can you absorb energy wise? And she's like, probably a lot.
I mean, if you had
Wicked, they kind of did like the let's hold hands. It was like Red Rover, right? Like they held hands and were like, ah.
I'm just saying, if you had Wiccan and Marvel there the whole time during the event, and you had Johnny on the battlefield fighting, and then Iron Man made a suit for Reed to go there, and he's like, okay, I need to get Johnny Storm to outer space real quick to help them, instead of him doing nothing for the second part, right? And just
they had Wiccan teleport him.
Yeah,
he's able to teleport.
Yeah, but I'm saying give something else, like just 2 birds, 1 stone, right? You give Human Torch fights there, and then you're like, okay, let me put a new suit in Human Torch to fly off to go do this real quick and help out, because that's the way I can help out. I think in suits, like that line would have made more sense, and it would have been a smoother story. But
I guess, I don't know. I guess it was, again, it was kind of flat. It seems like Marvel does this like once or twice a year now, where it's like, hey, here's an event because we need you to buy books, and but the story's like okay. And I love Dan Slott and I love Al Ewing. Like what Al Ewing's doing on Hulk is ridiculous.
Great, they're both great.
Right,
creators.
And Dan Slott's kind of rebuilding the Fantastic Four from scratch. He's off Iron Man now, but he's rebuilding the Fantastic Four. That's the book he wanted. So and obviously everything he's done for Spider-Man. But yeah, it's two guys who I'm like, all right, these guys are really good. Like, but where's the substance? Where's the feels? Where's the like I feel like a certain way after reading an issue. And that's what I think the industry's getting a little oversaturated with events instead of build up.
I agree.
And kind of tying things together the way like Hickman did with his Avengers run, right? Where it's just these are the books, and we will get there when it's time. And then you're like, oh my god,
yeah.
Since issue 1, everything like the puzzle pieces just fit together.
Well, also to be fair, Hickman with the
is
X-Men,
another breed.
It's not even that. They were very dense books. And you can't get away with that often. Like what he did, it was like an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Because if you try to do that heavy, dense, like though, because he had multiple pages of just writing in a comic with another character, I don't think it would have worked.
Hate, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
People like it's not a novel, it's a comic. Why are you giving me?
I liked it because like
I love it.
It's you're building a world of people. It's not like a team. Yeah. Like I think it only works for X-Men. I can't see that style working for anything else.
No, I agree 100% because you're basically explaining race culture, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is a race of people. This isn't a bunch of guys who are Avengers or 4 people for the Fantastic Four. Maybe you can get away with that with the Inhumans as well.
Yeah, it's a race of humans people. I can see that doing.
But the X-Men would be key, right? So yeah, I'm very excited for Ten of Swords. If you're buying it, be prepared. That is a like 22-part crossover. So like you're getting like X-Men 13, it's huge. Marauders 7 is like each chapter. So it's every X-Men book is going to be a chapter of the book. It's a lot, man. But it's Hickman, so how can you almost say no to it?
Exactly. I'm excited. Well, guys, our review of the Empyre Marvel event was pretty much an advocate to buy a new event. So we're sorry for that.
Or to buy the X-Men tie-in instead.
But let us know if you did read this book, what you think in the comments down below. We're really excited to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't read it, after listening to our review, is this something you're going to pick up? We advise against it, but you make your own decisions.
Absolutely.
As always, I'm Rob Moran.
And I'm Chris Heller.
And we'll see you next time.
Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, Jersey Comic Crew. And we're here, youtube.com/Jersey Comic Crew.